Imagine this. It's winter and you're in medieval Europe. Snow falls softly outside. You're inside your peasant hut, but things aren't looking good. The fire is dying, food is running low, and you feel the chill seeping in. Can you survive the coming night? What will tomorrow bring? Welcome to my channel. And today let us find out what it really meant to be a peasant in the coldest parts of medieval Europe. Winter brought challenges unlike any other season. Shorter days and icy winds made life hard. But let's be clear, winter wasn't just one season. From September to April, it was a cycle. At first, autumn days remained mild. Farmers picked the last fruits and vegetables and prepared their land for winter crops. But by October, the weather changed. Temperatures dropped and rain soaked the ground. November brought frost and shorter days. By December, the cold intensified. January and February were the peak of winter, and March saw the first hints of spring. Each month had its challenges, but overall, winter lasted from September to April, which is 7 months. Yes, it was a long haul. Now let's get real. Being a peasant in medieval Europe wasn't easy, especially during winter. These were people with little money or land. They rented small farms and lived in basic huts. Life revolved around farming. When winter hit, field work stopped. Fields froze and farm animals needed extra care. This meant more work for peasants. They had to feed, shelter, and guard their livestock. Often this meant working in bad weather. And remember, no paid holidays. If you were a peasant, you couldn't just take time off because of the weather. Work was essential for survival. For many, winter meant more hunger. When fields froze, people ate stored food like grains, dried meat, and preserved vegetables. But these supplies didn't last forever. In colder months, hunting and fishing helped. But it was risky. If you got hurt or didn't catch enough, that was your fate. Some peasants found extra work in winter. They might repair farm equipment or help with indoor tasks like weaving. But jobs were limited and competition was high. Plus, if you fell sick in winter, it was really serious. Doctors were scarce. Medicines were basic. And let's be honest, some illnesses were just a death sentence. Now let's talk about housing. Peasants usually lived in small huts made of wood or stone. These weren't fancy places. Inside, there was a fire pit, maybe a table and chairs and beds made of straw or wood. In winter, staying warm was the biggest challenge. Families spent most of their time around the fire. They cooked meals, dried clothes, and just kept warm. But fires weren't always safe or effective. Sometimes they'd smoke too much or not give off enough heat. Remember, no central heating back then. If you wanted warmth, you had to generate it yourself. During winter, houses often had more than humans. Peasants kept animals inside, like cows, pigs, and chickens. It wasn't a pet thing. It was about survival. Animals gave off heat and some provided milk or eggs. But let's be real, sharing a home with animals wasn't the best. They brought in dirt, smelled bad, and sometimes fought with each other. But what choice did they have? In winter, keeping warm was more important than cleanliness. Let's discuss food. Winter meant eating stored food. Grains became bread or porridge. Vegetables were dug from root cellars and meat was boiled or dried. If you had extra food, you could sell or trade it. But for many, winter meant eating less and sometimes going hungry. People tried to keep healthy by eating well, but it wasn't always possible. Then there was the endless darkness. As winter progressed, days became shorter and nights longer. By January and February, sunlight was scarce. This affected everyone. Plants couldn't grow and people felt low. In such conditions, staying busy was crucial. Families gathered around the fire and shared stories, sang songs, or played simple games. This kept spirits up and made winter bearable. Now, what did peasants do for fun? Well, not much, but they made the best of what they had. Storytelling was huge. Around the fire, people shared myths, legends, and jokes. Singing was also popular. People composed songs about daily life, love, or religion. Games were simple, often with dice or cards. Sometimes they'd play instruments or dance. But remember, life was hard. Many peasants had little time or energy for fun. Winter was about surviving, not partying. But let's be real, life as a peasant wasn't just hard. It was dangerous. Winters could be harsh, bringing storms, floods, or illnesses. There was always the threat of famine, sickness, or losing a limb. Death was a part of life. People died from old age, accidents, or diseases. Children were especially vulnerable. Life as a peasant in medieval Europe was extremely challenging. The weather was unpredictable, food was scarce in the colder months, and medical help was hard to find. Not everyone made it through the winter. Sicknesses spread easily and food shortages led to starvation. For those who did survive, life was still hard. They faced the risk of losing their homes or farms. Markets were unstable and daily life was filled with uncertainty. Winter was not just a season. It was a test. A test of endurance, resourcefulness, and community. In such times, people had to rely on their neighbors and families for support. It was a true test of human resilience. In medieval Europe, winter demanded sacrifices. People had to change their diets, housing situations, and even social lives. The challenge was immense. It's a stark contrast to today. We have heated homes, diverse foods, and medical advancements. Back then, people faced nature's fury head-on. How did they cope? They used what they had. They stored food, wore multiple layers of clothing, and created tight-knit communities. Winter wasn't just a season. It was a way of life. It was a battle against the elements where every bit of preparation counted. As we conclude our journey into the lives of peasants in medieval Europe, let's reflect on their resilience. Their ability to adapt and endure serves as a reminder of the strength of the human spirit. While we may live in a time of modern conveniences and technological advancements, it's essential to remember the struggles and sacrifices of those who came before us. Their stories of survival and their resourcefulness in the face of adversity are truly inspiring. The peasants of medieval Europe teach us that even in the harshest of winters, hope and determination can keep us going. Their legacy lives on in the stories they've left behind and in the values they upheld. Let us honor their memory by cherishing the lessons they've taught us and striving to create a world that values resilience, community, and the indomitable spirit of survival. Alright, time for a challenge. I want you to imagine you're a medieval peasant and it's winter. What's your biggest worry? And how do you solve it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more. And if you want to learn more about medieval life, check out this playlist right here. It's full of interesting videos about medieval clothing, food, and daily life. I know you'll love it. So click away and happy learning.